We talked about already Bill Maher's Real Time from this week, but he does something on YouTube called Overtime, which is extended content that wasn't included in the main show, and talking more casually with the members of this panel. And one of the parts from this, where Republican congressman who's supporting Trump at this election, Dan Crenshaw, is on, as well as Caitlin Collins and James Carville, one of the parts of this is so crucial and is just American politics in a nutshell right now. And so I want to play it for you. Bill Maher does a great job of going after Dan Crenshaw over this. And then what was funny was the crowd was just openly laughing at what Dan Crenshaw was saying because of how absurd the points were that he was making.
280 votes.
Okay.
What does Trump do if he loses this? Now, he lost the last election, right?
Yeah, he lost the last election.
Right. Okay, that's a very important thing.
Somebody else is president.
But he hasn't conceded losing that last election. My point to you, sir, is that gas prices and food prices go up and down. But this is forever.
We'll be right back to the video. All I got to say is just subscribe if you're not already by clicking that subscribe button. Easy, free, but it makes all the difference. The majority of people who watch this show aren't subscribed. So if you want to make yourself no longer one of those people, do it. Thank you so much. Back to the video.
Okay. Don't take my word for Biden policies being responsible for inflation. You can just ask the Fed and their statements in 2022.
That's not the question I'm asking.
It was all on fiscal stimulus, which is the American Rescue Plan.
But I'm saying that stuff, that's the normal stuff of politics and economics. It goes up and down. But not
normal.
But wait, but wouldn't you concede that not conceding elections?
And actually, before the big part that I'm talking about here, because there's going to be so much to address once it happens, but I want to make sure I address what Dan Crenshaw said about inflation. Just a reminder that Trump ran up, as Axios reports, national debt twice as much as Biden. New analysis. We talk a lot about how if they're talking about fiscal responsibility, it's a silly thing for Republicans to try to take that label, especially recently because of Trump having this record compared to Biden when you exclude COVID. Because they'll say, oh, we jacked up the national debt, sure, but that was because of COVID relief. But this analysis reveals, as I'm showing, I'm excluding in what I'm highlighting, the COVID-related relief, and this is just pre that normal policy, as well as Biden excluding COVID relief for him. Still, Trump has that worst record. But then, if we talk about here, the COVID relief that was adding to the national debt, you see that if we want to put it in these terms, spending money we don't actually have, to put it crudely, Trump also did way more of that as he was leaving office, because of COVID, which again, you can say is totally justified. It was a crisis. That's how you get out of economic crises. True. We made that case. Okay. But Trump was doing more COVID relief, or was signing off on more and spending money that we didn't actually have, which can be inflationary. And it's hard to talk about this because there's so many things. Obviously, yes, and then there was supply chain problems that happened, and then there was corporate price gouging beyond what was necessary, and then Russia invading Ukraine. There's all these things that happen later that contribute to why inflation got so bad. But there is a little bit of delay. We know this with all policies. You do something as the government, it takes a second for that to show up, especially when it comes to inflation. So both Biden and Trump, when talking about how spending impacted inflation, contributed. Trump probably more as he was leaving office, but that was probably justified because of the crisis we were in. And the fact that inflation spiked as Trump left office, after he left office, it's absurd to blame that all on Biden when the bulk of the money that had just been dumped into the economy that was down the road going to cause, as we saw globally, a spike in inflation combined with supply chain problems and corporate price gouging. It's crazy for people to make that so partisan and blame Biden for it when it makes no sense whatsoever. Continuing forward.
Is a much bigger, more existential issue, and that he's not going to concede this election. Can you imagine, can you tell me a scenario where he loses, maybe even by more, and he concedes the election? Can you imagine him saying, I've seen the results, and I'd like to congratulate Kamala Harris on running a good campaign? It's impossible to imagine.
I don't have to imagine. I don't have to imagine any of it because I know the history of it. And the history of it is he moved out of the White House. There was a peaceful transition of power, and there was an inauguration on January 21st.
He tried everything not to do that.
They tried to do the same unconstitutional process that Democrats did in the last three elections when Republicans
won. The Democrats sent fake electors. The Democrats pressured the Justice Department. The Democrats went to court and got laughed out of it. No,
so you're talking about legal
that never happened in any other election.
You're talking about utilizing the legal process. Now, I disagree with the fact that there should even be a process to decertify an election. But Democrats did it 3 times in the elections prior to that. Where was the hand-wringing then? Stacey Abrams has never said that she lost the governor's race in Georgia.
And that's
wrong.
Nobody
wrings their hands about
it. That's wrong, and it's a false equivalency to sending fake electors.
What do you mean fake electors? What fake electors?
What's fake electors?
There's no fake electors.
I want to make 2 points. Michael Bloomberg said there's zero evidence that the economy, the first 2 years of the Trump economy went any better than the last 2 years of the Obama economy. All right, period. The truth of the matter is, Trump inherited.
Let's keep watching this in a second because I love all of this. But let me respond to what's been said so far. Again, when they say Democrats did it, they mean in Congress, the process that is there. Shameful when you're doing it because of a mountain of lies, but there is a process to object. That's why they did it. Object. You stand up, you get someone from the other chamber, okay, and you object to the electoral count from a certain state. That's not what we're talking about. Those people should have been condemned because they were furthering the big lie and objecting to a free and fair election. But that's not the same thing as something that would have been illegal, which is why Trump's being prosecuted for it, and why fake electors are being prosecuted for it, which was to say, let's get random people, not the lawful electors that make up the electoral count, random people that are Trump supporters to sign bogus forms, again, now they're being prosecuted for this, that say they're the lawful electors from a certain state. We're going to then try to get Mike Pence, when he gets the lawful electors and is preparing to certify those people's votes, go, just kidding. I have this other stack of papers. We're going to certify this. We're going to pretend that Trump won an election that he didn't based on fraudulent, phony, fake electors. And Dan Crenshaw goes, what fake electors? What are you talking about? Which is maybe even not a lie. Because I've now interacted with hundreds of people who don't know what the fake elector scheme is and look genuinely, authentically baffled by that being explained to them. And they'll go, well, yeah, maybe that would be bad if it happened. But it did. Electors, I shouldn't call them that. These fake people are on camera admitting that's what they did. They're on camera doing their fake little electoral count thing in a room. They put their crimes on camera and they sign their name to papers that say, I am the duly elected and lawful elector of the state of Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, etc. It's the easiest case ever, but people don't know about it. And again, I know my regular viewers already know all of this, but please, America, what happens when elections are no longer decided by the lawful process that we have, but a president can just simple credit to Mike Pence because he said, I'm not going along with this, which is part of what made it not go further and cause constitutional crisis. But Mike Pence, if he had gone along with it, would have been playing into a president saying, I'm going to just pick people to make up an electoral college that will be to my liking, and then I'm going to stay president, regardless of the lawful process that we have, regardless of the fact that all of my legal challenges that are allowed to be brought got knocked down, regardless of the fact that me begging, this is also fraudulent, local officials to just overturn their election results, regardless of the fact that allies of mine broke into or were let into by pro-Trump election workers, voting sites, and then illegally breached voting machines trying to find evidence of fraud, and they still couldn't find it, I'm going to stay president. That's how democracy dies, ladies and gentlemen. So Dan Crenshaw's either faux or genuine confusion does not justify that, and him comparing a series, I only mentioned part of it, of illegal actions, or allegedly illegal, to, have there been any convictions on this yet? There's soon to be, and they won't be alleged anymore. to overturn, disenfranchise millions of voters, it doesn't make him any more right, even though he goes, what? I don't know about that.
What did you say? I didn't.
Trump inherited a good economy. Okay, Biden inherited a crappy economy.
Oop.
That's a fact. Okay, that's a fact.
That's not a fact.
When you
so
see a
inheriting
Democrat-
economy matters when you count
see
jobs?
A Democrat storming the Capitol and beating the shit out of a police officer, then I'm going to say something.
I definitely saw them beating the shit out of a lot of police officers and burning down a lot of buildings in the riots of 2020.
Okay. Oh my gosh, the Black Lives Matter talking point again. It just never stops. Let me see. I feel like Caitlin Collins was supposed to get in here. Yes, she was. We'll play that in just a second here. But if there were, let me say this, there weren't, but let's just pretend. If there were Democratic politicians who justified violence, bad, shut up, you're wrong, okay? That's what I have to say to them. If there were Democratic politicians who encourage lawbreaking, bad, you're wrong, shut up. There is a difference, between rioting, which while it should be something people are held accountable for when they break the law, while it should be something that people don't do, they shouldn't break the law, is a phenomenon that happens in societies, right? So still hold people accountable, not justifying. Horrible things happened. Yes, but the reason why, just as a matter of fact, January 6th is given so much more emphasis is because of two big reasons. Listen, MAGA, and then never make the dumb comparison again. Reason one, attacking a democratic institution because your president, the sitting president of the United States at that time, is asking you to prevent a certification of an election and saying your country's going to die if you don't block the peaceful transfer of power. So you violently, yes, break the law, yes, attack police officers in the interest of preventing the continuation of our democracy. That is more significant. Even if you compare damages or amount of people who died, it's a more significant historic act and more damaging to democracy. So, but that by itself is why it gets a lot of emphasis, because Trump was pushing a big lie. He was trying to block the peaceful transfer of power in a bunch of ways, the fake elector scheme, the Mike Pence stuff, the calling of local officials to engage in fraud, and also was trying to get his followers to obstruct that process. So that. Then, point two, Trump now celebrates those people. He says they should get pardoned. He calls them hostages. He got asked if he would pardon people who specifically was the language, we play the clip, assaulted police officers. He said, absolutely. We aren't celebrating people who during a summer where a lot of really justified protests were going on, people were peacefully expressing their voice. Also, alongside that, there was law breaking, there was damage done, people's lives ruined, small businesses, and that is worthy of condemnation. And we're not celebrating those people. We're not holding a gala at a golf club like Trump is to honor those people. That's the second big difference. Never make that point again, MAGA, unless you want to be foolish. Here's more.
Before, which is often something that Republicans, when we have them on my show, say when we talk about January 6th and the fake electors and Trump refusing to admit that he lost the election. There was barely a peaceful transfer of power. They actually wouldn't even allow them to move forward with getting federal funding to start the transition for weeks. I remember it was because we found out about a little known position that no one in the federal government even really knew much about because of that. But also, the difference then is Joe Biden went and certified the election. He was the vice president then, and he certified Donald Trump's election and
so
did not.
So did Mike
there
Pence.
was not a massive.
Because
Mike Pence was pressured not to by Donald Trump.
The entire process of certification is bullshit. It's unconstitutional. Democrats opened this door. Republicans ran through it. Congress. I'm hearing booze in the audience. The Constitution. Yes, they did. Three elections in a row.
You cannot compare.
I can because they're going through what they deem to be a legal process. I think it's illegal, no matter which party does it. Because there's nowhere in the Constitution that says Congress.
Okay, they have that process. I might even be able to entertain his idea of getting rid of you being able to eject. If it's certified, then why are we even... Okay, but that's not the conversation. Completely different. There is some congressional process that they put together that has been exercised. And if that's all this was, it wouldn't be the conversation that it is today. I already explained the distinction. I'm about to implode, so let me just wrap it up. If you enjoy this content, want to support it, you can click the join button below and let me know what you thought of all that in the comments. I know I'm talking very quickly. I'll see you in the next video.